can you explain some of the, not necessarily challenges, but sort of the checkpoints that have to go, and if you're a secondary and you're kind of trying to find chemistry and communication with a lot of different pieces, especially for Brandon, he's older, but working with some different secondary partners. What are some of the checkpoints and some of the challenges that come with just trying to find that chemistry or whatever?
I mean, it's just playing together, that's all. You know, I mean, there's not more simple than that. I mean, you got to play. And, the safeties make all the checks, and you got to play. But the communication's really not been a problem. So we haven't had an issue with communication. I think, there's a lot of pieces, but I think we communicate pretty well out there.
The safeties were like, I don't know, I mean, how much responsibility is that? And then, how can that play out over the course of the game?
I mean, it's just what their job is, I mean, that's being a safety. It's like being a quarterback. It's like being a center, I mean, the center makes all the protection identifications. The quarterback adjusts the protections. I think the safeties are going to obviously, the linebackers are going to set the front calls. The secondary, is going to, make their checks based off the different formations. It's just what everybody does in football.
And you were talking a lot about, one, just sort of gap, like assignments. And can you explain sort of what happens there? And there's the same thing. There's some moving pieces on the line.
So, gap control on defense is every gap's got to have someone responsible for it. And what happens is if a guy is supposed to have the B gap and he doesn't take care of the B gap, he's in the C gap, and that means the B gap's open and there's two people in the C gap. I mean, it's simplistic, but it's just keeping your gap integrity. And in the heat of the battle, if you got a certain gap, you can't go sticking your nose in another gap trying to make a play. You got to take care of your gap, okay? And then as the ball breaks the line of scrimmage, then you're going to pursue to the ball. But if you're not where you're supposed to be, if you're out of your gap and there's an open gap, then that's a gap that a running back or whatever can get through. So it's just defense as a general. It's all about gap sound. It's like being coverage sound. In a coverage, everybody's got a responsibility, whether it's zone and they have a zone of the field, whether it's man and they have a man. But if someone blows an assignment and let's say it's man, they don't cover a man, and that man's wide open. And it's like, well, how would that happen? How does a lot of things happen? People, they make mistakes. And then what you're trying to make sure is that you don't make those mistakes, right? And that's what you're in a fight against. And sometimes the younger the players, they get caught up in the heat of the moment and they let something go. They make a mental mistake. It's like an offensive lineman maybe going the wrong way or not on the snap count at the right time. And so you're trying to alleviate a bunch of mistakes, because when you make a bunch of mistakes, the mistakes breed mistakes, and sometimes it can snowball a little bit. And then it turns into big plays turn into momentum, and then you got to have the experience and the toughness to fight back momentum.
Is there a part of it that's maybe over-aggression, or is it just kind of, how much of it is just like, hey, I'm trying to make a play, versus like, hey, I'm doing this on my own? Or?
Well, you got to do your job. I mean, you got a job, you got to do your job and make a play. You can do both. You can do your job and make a play. So these are just things that you have to make sure you're on top of, and that's what we're working at. And, it's a work in progress.
I guess I was going to ask too. Kobe had a couple of catches, non-catches. He kind of gets put in a spot where it's like he makes tough grabs. Like the one that was kind of a scoop. I think the replay showed it was actually a catch, and there was one that was somewhere else that actually wasn't a catch.
I guess there's another replay out there. I don't know, but yeah.
But no, the replay when I watched it looked like a catch, but it was called not a catch. Yeah, but I mean, just that's a unique skill set he has, where it's like, hey, if you need a tougher grab or an odd grab.
Yeah, I think Kobe does have very good hands and can make. He has good ability to maintain focus on the ball, and even when his body is in kind of awkward positions. A good eye-hand coordination. Yeah.
I think I did. What have you seen from Mehdi so far this season?
Mehdi's been steady. He's done a good job. I think he's played pretty consistently. Hasn't had a lot of issues. Is helping us on special teams as well. So I think Mehdi's really stepped up.
Take two more guys.
Sure.
It was a disappointing loss.
Yeah.
But even if you won the game, you still got to move ahead to next week.
Right.
How's the team focusing on the next game, putting that one to bed?
Yeah, we're rolling. I mean, we were in here practicing on Sunday. I mean, this is our second practice. I mean, we're long on the Rutgers, man. And in our world, in a competitive sport world, you got no time for that nonsense. That's over. It's done. That's why I tell the players all the time, it's fragile, man. When it's gone, it's gone. You got to move forward. If you can't move forward, then you're going to get stung again. And we got to go. It's like, I don't really talk about it anymore. And I know you guys have to do what you got to do. I understand that, but like that, I just listen. I'm like, I'm done talking about it. I mean, it's over. So we got to get on to Rutgers, and we got to get our focus on Rutgers, and we've got to really get our preparation right for Rutgers, or whoever the next opponent is. It doesn't even matter. It just matters that you got to move forward. Everybody, players, coaches, get going. You got to get going. A lot of football left to play.
And last week you had a short week. This week you actually have an extra day. What do you use that extra day for?
Well, you don't really have an extra day because last week the player day off had to be on Saturday. Mm-hmm. So they had to play, you have to have a day off each week. So the player day off was Saturday, because that's what happens when you play on those shorter weeks. And then Sunday we brought him in, and then Monday is the player day off now for this week. Okay, so we don't really have an extra day. Now the coaches got an extra day of preparation. We were able to come in at 7 o'clock on Saturday morning and get film graded from the night before game and get a head start. So I thought we were able to buy a day, but the players didn't buy a day. They bought a day of rest, which is good, but we bought the day of preparation, the coaches.